Yeah, the support from other agencies. I mean, it's hard, and the way that nonprofits are nowadays, people are very competitive for contracts and whatnot, and I think the fact that we cannot work in isolation gets lost in that. Yeah. Oh, there's a second part of this. Oh, this is understanding your funding options.
Right, and again, specifically with the MAP van, maybe it's different than other situations because we did have a specific funding source, and so it wasn't necessarily that there were going to be a whole bunch of different options that we could explore, but again, thinking about other projects, and there might be, if it's not going to come from the place that it's been coming from for whatever reason, then I guess it's kind of obvious, right, that we have to look at other options. And understanding why the funding is being cut in the first place, and maybe, or it's not there, maybe can help us to kind of work with the current political climate, or find a reason why it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and that little list there, actually, those were a lot of things. Those are a lot of words that were sort of being tossed around in that time. So that's why they're there.
Morality shift, that's my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So softening the blow, this was a very fine line of being transparent with our clients, with the women, and between being transparent and just totally scaring them. So when and how, do we decide to tell them? I think that the way the van did it was the best way. It was sort of straight from the horse's mouth, straight from the staff, who were just as in the dark as to what the outcome was going to be as the women. And I think the relationships that the staff have with the women really softened that blow. So when we were doing a lot of stuff like offering other supports, compiling lists of other agencies that they could reach out to if they needed support when we were off the road. There was PACE and peers and all kinds of other things. I mean, in terms of outreach, there really wasn't a lot. The Rain City needle van is out, and they do see a lot of crossover with our clients, but unfortunately they're not on the road all night. So there was only so much we could refer people to that would be similar to our service.
Yeah. And like Michelle said earlier too, that a lot of the women were only seeing the MAP van as their primary resource, and because we travel all over Vancouver, so it's not just the downtown east side where there's a lot of services, there's a lot of places where women are working in isolation or just outside of, kind of off the grid. So really letting people know what's available out there, and when we're working in this work, it might seem really obvious, like there's all these different places to go, but there was a study that came out, and I think unofficially, something like 75% of the women that utilized the MAP van only saw the MAP van, and so it was really important to kind of create some awareness and hopefully make some connections so that people could have their needs met.
I think the other thing that was important too was we created a lot of extra shifts, day and night, to reach as many women as possible, so that everybody knew, which looked like handing out notices, our staff letting people know, and to also let women know about our efforts to continue to fight to have the funding back, and to make sure their voices are heard was really important as well. And a lot of women were really, I think, moved by that, and they were offering to help, and I believe they even had their own letter writing campaign at one point, which is pretty great. So that's really important to make sure that they're feeling heard as well, because it's their service. So, and this one, Laurel, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, I think this is kind of hitting home for just why why is this important to people? Why is it important to us and to the women? And just as somebody that's going to flip open the paper and see this and maybe not have a clue about what the MAP van is until this time, to really draw some connections between what people can understand, like who actually uses the van, what is provided, and not just in terms of stats or goods and services, but just talking about saving lives and talking about, you know, the climate that this kind of came out in the first place, where a lot of women just, I don't know, it's it's a hard one. It's a hard discussion to have, but I think it's really important that people kind of feel it, and that really gives an impetus to the support. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And because it was created out of the case of the missing women, and we can't forget.
So here are some pictures from the various stands. And there were quite a few of them, and they were very, very well attended. Was this from the...
Yeah, the original stand, which I don't know if I explained very well, so for anybody that doesn't know, the van has a route that we drove during the first stand, where we asked people to come out and choose like one of several corners along the strolls that the van route drives along. And we drove the van actually up to a number of different spots where people were gathered, and each spot people had something different happening, so candles or lanterns or signs, posters, all different kinds of things. And it was really quite emotional, actually. It was a beautiful thing just to see like the number of people that came out, and there was quite a few people all across, across East Van. I'd like to say the whole city. That would be great too.
Oh, there's Pivot. Yeah, at the time that all this was going on, I was working for Rain City Housing at their project, the Vivian, which is a transitional housing for women in the sex trade. And they were all devastated when we heard the news, well, and the staff as well, when we heard the news that the van had lost its funding. And the women were so outraged that they went upstairs and got what little bedding they had that was white, and started making these banners out of their bed linen that said, "Save the MAP van." And for the stand, as the van was driving by, in support and in solidarity, they were all out on the corner with, you know, their bed sheets that they've now turned into giant protest banners. So that was pretty powerful. And yeah, you know, seeing all the people from all the sort of walks of life being a part of, for myself being a part of this action, you know, it was everybody that had come out. It was, you know, members of city council, members of the police, other support agencies, friends in the community, and that was just one corner. So that was, I was at Victoria and Powell on that corner, and the support was massive, massive.